setting their personal goals, how can they hold space for both the pain of their past and the hope for their future?
Mm.
That is a very deep and profound question.
That question is
Yes,
for you, Dr. Steve.
that's a very deep and profound question because sometimes we are afraid to confront our past. So here's something I'll drop here with all of us as we leave this space for us to think about. You can't heal what you're not willing to confront. And I'll say that one more time. You cannot heal what you're not willing to confront. I think that Ambassador Bobby worked in the medical field, so she probably would understand this concept a far cry better than I could. If somebody comes into the hospital and they've got a scar, a deep scar, or they've got a broken limb or something like that, that nurse, that doctor is going to have to tend to that. I've heard stories where they had to sometimes re-break the leg or something like that.
Mm,
But and quite naturally, some people would say, no, I'm not going to address that. But do you really want to heal? So there are instances where we want to heal that we do need to confront some things from the past. I'm not suggesting that we live there and we take up residence there, but there are certain things in our past that is causing us pain in our future. And so we do need
mm,
to confront certain things in our past so that we're able to forgive ourselves, so that we're able to forgive those people that may have been responsible or caused the trauma. So there are things in our past that we need to not necessarily live in, but we need to address it so that we can continue to move on forward in our future, because sometimes we get stuck, and we are stuck because there are past experiences that still have us stuck. And so in order to get unstuck, we have to confront pain and say, yes, it did happen to me. We identify that this did happen to me, but I'm no longer a victim to you. Okay, I
Absolutely.
am going to be free of this thing. And so that's what I mean when I say you cannot heal anything that you're not willing to confront.
Well,
Yes.
if I could piggyback on Dr. Stevens' comment, one of the things I think probably the most important thing that I was able to do, um, I had to learn how to embrace the pain. And as she said, you can't deal with it unless you first acknowledge it. And for a long time, I lived in denial.
strategies,
My
tools that will help you not only understand your story, but reshape it.
yes, yes, and like I said, for a long time, I lived in denial. I didn't. My case was a little more unique. I lost my memory, so I had to reconstruct who I was as an individual without knowing my past. And so I was at the mercy of everyone else because everybody who knew me had a different version of who I was, and that was doubly complicated because I didn't know I didn't have a foundation. I didn't know where to start, and that was probably the most challenging aspect. The first, well, gosh, probably the first 10, 12 years beyond my accident, I had no idea where I was or who I was.
And if I can piggyback a little bit on what BJ just said, I mean, what BJ just said, I think sometimes, and this is just my opinion, as I said, I only speak can only speak from my sphere, that sometimes we do revisit the past, and we are looking for closure of that event, and when we don't get that closure, we hold on to that.
Mm,
And this is just what I've done personally, and I'm going to, as I said, I can't speak for other people, and I just say how I deal with things. I didn't get closure from situations that have caused me pain in the past. What I did from that is I forgive them and I forgive me, and I have left it where it is. I'm not looking for them to accept or say they were right or wrong. I don't have to be right or wrong. I have just accepted the pain of the situation, and have learned to move on. And I think that sometimes is the hardest thing, is that we're looking for to close that door. We're looking for an event, a person, a situation to close something